Humanity, I love you all with all my heart, with all my might. My videos are about love, about creation, about infinity, because we are infinite creators, we're infinite love. Why? Because of the human heartbeat. It's very simple. The human heartbeat is the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. Without the human heartbeat, we wouldn't exist. The human heartbeat generates an electromagnetic pulse around the human body that powers us. It's our energy source. The human brain, the nervous system, organs function as a result. It all happens. We're sentient beings as a result. We are conscious and self-aware because of the human heartbeat, the pulse of life, the pulse of creation. So, biologically speaking, our creator is the heart. It's very simple, but it's straightforward. So we live to love. Why? Because if the heartbeat creates us, is what gives us life at the most fundamental of levels, so the human body can be, and we can be sentient, conscious, and aware. Think about it. We love with our hearts. That's the place where we love. We love with our hearts. So if our first instinct, which is to exist with the heartbeat, is so we can live, and the heart is what we use to love and what makes us self-aware and conscious in a way, sentient, capable of feeling and being intelligent beings at this scale of reasoning. That means that we live to love. We live to love and we love to live. Why? Because once we're alive, which is because of the heartbeat, we just eternal creators of love. Because this is what we do, biologically speaking. We just love. We love to live. We breathe. We drink water. We keep ourselves hydrated. We sleep at night. We love feeling good, laughing, making jokes, having a great time with our friends, our family, enjoying things, having meaning, being happy. These are the things that we love. So that's why we love to live. We live to love and we love to live. So our creator reminds us in the most subtle of ways. That's how nature operates. I'm giving you life so you love. Because love is creation. And this is connected and this makes sense. And I'm going to explain to you why. Because the electromagnetic field says so. We're energy. You see, we're created by the electromagnetic pulse. So we're energy. Energy is creation. Energy creates. That's just what energy does. It drives things. It powers things. It creates. It generates motion. It's generator. It generates. It creates. So it creates us. So we love. So it's the place that creates us, the heart, the organ. Then also is what we feel and do. So there is no coincidence why we make love. You see, biologically speaking, we create life. How? By making love. So the human sperm and the human egg come together. And what happens? Well, life happens, the conception. We create life through love. You know, they come together, and after a while, the zygote, reaches a critical mass, and then the heartbeat emerges, and this small electrical signal, you can look at it with a microscope. I've seen it. It's this thing, very small, very tiny. It's us at a very, with life, forming the human body, the embryonic development onto Genesis. It's the seed of life. It's who we are. Our purpose is to live. Our purpose is to love. We're alive. We're creation. We're creators. So biologically speaking, at the most basic of levels, we create. We make love, so we create. That's what we do biologically. So we reproduce. Is survival of the species. It's biological instinct to survive. And we do that through love. Also, we raise our children with love. We love our children. It's an instinct to love. You see, it's our heart instinct to exist. Heartbeat, the love. Instinct to love. Our creation. Our love, our creation, our children. And also the non-biological things that we create, like our art, our music, our buildings, or whatever, our technology. We love that as creators, right? So you think about it, like we create. This is who we are creators. And this is beautiful to understand, because it all starts with energy, understanding that it's energy that creates, and it's the heartbeat and the electromagnetic pulse that creates us. so we can love. So the delivery mechanism of creation and a biological scale, which is us, is love. So love is the mechanism of creation. We make love, we create life. But that's just the basic level, because we are much more than just making love. We are creative, we are sentient, we are intelligent, we're self-aware, we're conscious, we're highly intelligent, we're a benevolent species. Our instinct is to love, so that makes us a benevolent species. You see a heartful species, a heart-based species, a love-based species. We back our creations with love. That's what we do, and we build the most beautiful things. We create the most incredible technologies, and the most remarkable innovation always happens with passion and love. The creators, inventors, the designers, all these people, developers, they're always super creative people. They love what they do. Why? Because that's our nature, to create, to love. So we need to understand these, that our very nature is to create, and we create through love. Because we're alive because of our heartbeat, and our heartbeat says you have to love. So we are lovers, we're creators. This is what we do. We've done it for thousands of years. This is why we're at this stage right now on Earth. Why energy? Because energy is creation. This electromagnetic field is not unique to us as individuals, as humans. The creator of all this stuff, the sun, has his own electromagnetic field of creation, his own pulse of life, his own pulse of creation, and this has created the conditions. This energy has created the conditions on Earth for Earth itself to have its own electromagnetic field of creation, and the atmosphere and the biosphere and the biome and the ecosystems. So the DNA, nature, and everything that happens here has, come to terms, and we are here and now the way we are, biological beings. So the sun creates life at a astronomical level with its energy source. The earth creates life at a terrestrial level with its own mechanisms and its own energy sources. And us, we create life through our own mechanisms and our own energy sources, biologically speaking, through love. This is the mechanism, love. So you ought to understand what this is. So because we're energy and we're infinite, this is extremely important. And this is what today's video is about. Today's video is about the fundamental energy sources of the human body, of the human experience, who we are. Because this is who we are. We're infinite energy, suggested by the human heartbeat, electromagnetic field of the earth, of the sun, are our own. So we're infinite energy, you see, and fundamental energy sources. So because we're energy and we're alive, we need to keep the engine going. The human body needs to be replenished, nourished, so the heartbeat is healthy, so it can happen, so we can continue to be alive. Because we're part of a bigger system, an ecosystem, planet Earth, that creates the conditions so we can be alive. But we're not in a vacuum where we just can live without anything else. We need these support systems. We need oxygen, we need water, we need all these different things for the organism to function, so the heart, the organ, can actually do its thing, so we can generate the pulse of life and creation, so we can be electrical and exist and create through love. So let's talk about these today, fundamental energy sources. You can always refer to the image by visiting y.how/energy-sources. That's y.how/energy-sources. You can go on Substack, you can go on YouTube, but the website is there as well. So let's talk about fundamental energy sources, because we're energy in the end. This is who we are. So the way I broke it down, I always like to think in terms of objective reality. Things that are generic, things that are applicable to everyone, all humans. So we all relate. Each has its own experience. We're all unique to ourselves. We all have our own true selves and our own identity and our own purposes, our own compass, our own free will, our own actions. But regardless, we all have these systems and these embeddings that are shared by all of us, this truth. And this is what I talk about. I talk about objective reality. So fundamental energy sources. So let's start with the most important of them all, which is sunlight. Sunlight is the most important energy source, because think about it, the sun itself created the earth and the conditions here so we can exist. So that's the most important one. Is the source of life, the source of light, the source of creation. So we need to step into the light. And we can obviously get the vitamin D through our skin and all these beautiful things, get a beautiful tan. But there is a more powerful way to get energized by the sun than just exposing yourself to the environment. So the sun hits your epidermis, your skin, and then you just get vitamin D. That's just important, but it's not the most important one. The most important energy source for us, the human, is the sunlight that comes straight into our eyes. So I'm going to explain why. I have explained this many times, but I'm going to do it again because this is fundamental. We need to understand who we are. We're infinite energy beings. And this is our nature because of our electromagnetic field powering us. Why is sunlight the most important energy source? Because it's the life of creation itself. So we were designed, think about it, we are sentient, right? We are aware, we're conscious. We are intelligent, we are a benevolent species, we have a heart, we love, we create. We make love, we create life, but we also create with our hands and our innovation and our creativity. So how does that work, right? It works with our brains. Our heart powers our body and the nervous system of our brain. And what does our brain do? Well, our brain perceives and has all these synapses and all these different mechanisms, electrical signals, kind of like regulating the human body. But what is that function that it does? It thinks. It thinks, and it has the ability, this powerful idea, this powerful motion that it does, this thing that is unique to the human brain, which is creativity, innovation, imagination, visualization. That's what the brain does. It's just incredible to imagining and creating and innovating and being creative. The human brain is like creative force. You see, it's like us. We create. It creates at a visual way. It creates in a very beautiful way. And how does that work? How do we perceive reality? So how do we create? How do we get to make sense of things? How do we, through our senses, perception. And what's the sense that we humans rely the most on is the sense of sight. And it's not a coincidence that our eyes are right behind the brain, which is this monitoring thing, this oversight mechanism that regulates the body in a big way. That kind of like, it's like the ruler in a way. It has all these kind of like, systems to regulate and make sure that homeostasis is happening and synergy and symbiosis is going on, and we have all these regulations and all these systems that happens as a result of the feedback loops of the nervous system sending signals across the body, chemically speaking, through neurotransmitters, and then that gets going with hormones and all sorts of things. The human body is an incredible organism. We are an amazing species. We're extremely intelligent. We are light beings, spherical light beings, and this is why we're energy. You see, it's not a coincidence that this visual is a spherical being surrounding us is our electromagnetic field of creation and what powers it. So let's start with the sunlight. We'll start there. So we rely the most on sight, the perception of reality, how we map and perceive, make sense of things is through our eyes. That's why the eyes are in front of the brain. And, a lot of the brain is just essentially for the eyes, a lot of veins, a lot of circuitry, a lot of neuroplasticity, a lot of wiring, a lot of nerves. This just the bi-directional, the feedback loop between the eyes and the brain. Why? Because we perceive reality through our eyes is what makes us see. So we believe what we see. It's kind of like the way we operate. It's our autopilot. What we see is what we believe. This is our perception of reality. So this is what it is. And how does that work? Well, that works because we have eyes, and the eyes have an iris and a pupil and a lens and all these different things, these different components. But the most important of them all is the iris, because the iris is round, is spherical, just like the sun and the earth, right? And the brain. Just think about all these organizing agents, its structure, its pattern of creation, spherical. So, and the iris itself is spherical as well, geometrically speaking. And the iris has the cell inside the iris, cone cells, and the cone cells are the cells that allows us to see light. And with light we perceive colors, so we can have high resolution and we see things, the way we do. And then that's what really, oh wow, this is reality. Oh, colors, things, da da da. So that's how we operate. So think about it. What creates light? Where does light come from? Light comes from the creator that created all these, which is the sun. So we see because of light. So we see, right? We can see. Otherwise we will be blind. We see because of the sun, because of the light coming from the sun. So we see colors. At night when there is no sunlight, we only see because there is artificial light, which is electrical anyway. It's a current, AC or DC, depending on where you are and depending on the system. But those lights are artificial based on what? Electricity, which is essentially what? Electromagnetism, which is what? Energy from whatever the sun, fundamentally speaking. So it's just non-organic, it's synthetic energy or transfused energy through different mechanisms that we have created with machines and engines and all sorts of power systems. But it's the same principle. It's electricity, it's energy, it's power. So if you think about it, that's what we can see at night because there's light. Or the moon, the reflection on the moon, but the reflection of the moon comes from the sunlight anyway, so that's what we can see because of the sun. And it's always the sun, it's the light coming from the sun, it's electricity, it's energy. So we can see. So it's a creator in the first place, so we can see. So if we can see because of the sunlight, imagine the things that we can do and we can see if we actually stare at the sun, right? That's why it's an energy source, sunlight. We stare at the sun with our iris, and these colors, these lights come through it, and it hits us right in the back of our brain because our brain is right behind our eyes, you see. And that energy, imagine this, that energy of creation just hitting us straight into the eye socket and going inside and recharging, supercharging, superpowering the brain. Remember, the brain is electrical, so all these signals, imagine the biochemistry happening as a result of this supercharge, this energy coming through the eyes and doing what it does to the brain. So if the natural state of the brain is to create, to imagine, to innovate, to perceive, imagine what it does when you have the light source of creation hitting us straight inside. So it changes it molecularly speaking, it restructures it, it rejuvenates it, it regenerates it, it makes it a much more capable brain, a superpower brain, capable of better connections, better synapses, better capacities to regulate and oversee the human organism, a much more intelligent brain because it's supercharged. So that's not the only thing, because we also have the human heartbeat, which is electrical current, just like the electromagnetic field around the earth and around the sun. We also have our own that gives us life. So when we stare at the sun, we open the portal. That's the terminology. You open the portal when you stare at the sun. And when that happens, what happens? Well, your electromagnetic field of life of creation syncs with the electromagnetic field of life and creation of the sun itself. And it's called building the bridge. So you build the bridge. You build the bridge. And what's that? Well, imagine if the eye gets all this energy straight into it and hits the brain. We're all electrical. We're not only getting that energy, the brain would distribute that energy across the nervous system, across the entirety of the body. And there's all sorts of connections between the brain and the heart, all these nerves, all these systems, all these veins. So obviously the energy the current is just moving and it goes straight into the heart. And what does that do? Well, it makes our heart more powerful because of this syncing with creation itself. So what does that do? Well, if our heartbeat is what gives us life, imagine all these energies. So it supercharges our hearts as well. It makes our heart much more potent, more capable of life. And what is it that we do when we're alive? We love, we have emotions. So we're capable of having stronger, more braver, courageous actions. Our heart are more powerful, so we can be better. You see, we're more energized. We have how do we energize ourselves in a big way with our mind state, with our emotional state? If we're energized, he's so energized. This person is so energetic. Is that is stimulation. which is so okay. The most important energy source is obviously sunlight, because it does what it does to the human body, to the brain, to the heart, to our cells. For what purpose? Just think about it. It's this energy of creation coming in to stimulate us, which is the second energy source, fundamental energy source, is stimulation. So we get stimulated by this energy coming through our eyes, straight into our brain and our organisms and our heart. So our brains become more powerful. They get stimulated, they get energized, they get empowered, they get driven to a higher level of vibration or frequency, hertz-wise, vibration, all these resonance, new level of resonance, because of the stimulation coming as a result of all this new energy coming into the system. It's like we're feeding the system with this source of energy through our eyes. So our brain gets overpowered, superpowered, supercharged. So does our brain, our heart. So then what does that do? It stimulates us. So because we feel with our emotions, then we're energized. And our emotions are powerful emotions, they're positive emotions. So we are capable of loving more. And what does love do for us? It helps us create, so we can be creative. And our brains will be having better visions of our future, our dreams. And we will be motivated and stimulated and inspired and excited by this vision of our true self, or these things that we can create and we can do, these emotions, this happiness that comes, this joy, this gratification, all this positivity, all these emotions that come as a result of this stimulation. And that gets us going. You see, we have energy sources. We tap into incredible energy sources. That's what purpose is. When you know what you exist, you have this purpose, and it gives you it's a source of energy, a powerful source of energy. It's an incredible source of energy. You see, it's a very powerful source of energy. The stimulation that comes from purpose. And this is all because of the sunlight, the stimulation. And what does that do? The stimulus, the stimuli, right? What does it do? Well, it creates motion, in our body. It does what it does, movement, which is another incredibly important energy source, because we get movement going. Because this energy is so important, is we get energized, so we need to move. We need to take action. We take action, we move. We do things, we do activities, we do tasks. We get jobs done, we walk, we sing, we dance, we run. Whatever it has to be done, whatever is required. And this motion gets our heartbeat going, because when you exercise, as you know, your heartbeat increases. It's called your heart rate. Your heartbeat rate increases. And what does that do? It pumps your blood through your body, more circuitry, more energy, more carbon, more signals, hormones being secreted, neurotransmission happening at a faster rate, cognitive abilities being increased, dilation of the veins, more blood through the through the torrent. So we have all these feedback loops happening as a result of sunlight and stimulation, and the movement that comes as a result, because we start running, we walk, we do all these things, we create, we get active. If you're a footballer, you go to the field and start playing, and you get in the zone, you're flowing, because that's what energy is flow. We flow with movement. So that's what it is, it's very powerful, this energy source. And then because of the heartbeat pumping, then again, more emotions, more stimulus, and then more creativity, it's all a feedback loop. Is empowering our spherical light being, who we are, this electromagnetic field of creation. So this is it's all connected, these incredible energy sources that we have. And then again, when we start pumping and we move blood through our bodies, and oxygen that we require, hemoglobin, and all these different components that make the human body, our makeup, at a molecular level. Hemoglobin is this human compound that essentially moves oxygen through our blood, so we can actually have a higher level of stamina and resistance. So if you think about it from that point of view, higher pain thresholds as well, because it helps us with our lactic acid and dealing with pain, which is part of this ongoing conversation that I've been having, that pain and all these different things, they're just lower states of energy. So you deal with them through movement, right? Hemoglobin, oxygen, breathing, an incredible, powerful way to energize ourselves, because oxygen, what is oxygen? Oxygen is this element, right? And it's a compound. Oxygen is a compound. It's an element that is required for our lungs to be able to help us exist. It's part of the respiratory system. It's the enabler of the respiratory system. You need this fuel, and this mechanism is oxygen. So we breathe through our nostrils and our mouth, because the duct is all connected. Sometimes oxygen can also come from other parts of the body, but for the most bodies, your nostrils and your mouth. So the oxygen, the air from the atmosphere, which is again created by the earth and its own electromagnetic field, you see it's all connected, all these support systems supporting life here on us, biologically speaking, so we can exist. The oxygen comes in, and then it helps us through our bloodstream, moving the heart. It has two mechanisms. It pumps blood that has oxygen, and it pumps blood that doesn't have oxygen. It's two mechanisms. So again, it's the heart moving blood through the body. It moves blood through the body, and this blood with oxygen, and then it gets the organs, the lungs with the oxygen, moves the blood, it charges the blood, it loads the blood with oxygen, and it keeps going. This engine keeps going, and it's energizing you. High energy levels. Oxygen is that. Oxygen is energy. It's an element, it's oxygen. I mean, if you think about it from a chemical point of view, it's actually a combustible thing. It's inflammable. You can light oxygen on fire. You grab oxygen, and then you you give it you heat it with an energy source, a flame, and then you're gonna get a bigger flame. That's why things oxidize, because oxygen is an active element. It's very active. Oxygen is. That's why we need it, because it's energy. It's activating us. Oxygen is this incredible compound. So you